It's been a long time since I've done this, and I have a lot to get off my chest. What's going on, Facebook and YouTube universe? I'm Anthony Manzola, and I'm proud to say that my sports talk page is back up and running, and I'm about to bring my A game right now. Today, I just want to get into the NBA playoff picture and the perfect scenarios that it would be for certain teams. In the Eastern Conference, we know that the Heat have home court throughout the Eastern playoffs all the way up to the NBA Finals. The Knicks are locked in at the 2 seed, the Pacers are locked in at 3, the Nets are locked in at 4. There's still to determine who's going to be 5 and who's going to be 6 between Atlanta and Chicago. Boston is locked in at 7, and Milwaukee has the 8 seed. Now, if you're a Nets fan, the perfect scenario for you would be to play Atlanta in the first round because you do not want to deal with Chicago's physicality, and they're so well coached and they have a ton of playoff experience. Even without Derrick Rose, they could still be a threat to anybody in the East. The Hawks, on the other hand, haven't had the greatest run of success in the playoffs in recent years. So, and the matchups would be very favorable for the Nets. Now, if you're a Knicks fan, the team that you really want to avoid if you're trying to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and to have the dream matchup with the Heat is to having to play Boston, who has been a thorn in the Knicks side for years, especially they knocked them out of the playoffs just 2 years ago. But they're two totally different teams now. The Knicks just have a ton of confidence, while the Celtics are old and dealing with a bunch of injuries, and it's just not the same Celtics teams that we're used to seeing battle game in and game out throughout the playoffs. But if the Knicks sort of manage to get through the Celtics, the worst thing that could happen to them would be playing the Bulls in the second round, because the Bulls swept the Knicks 4 games to nothing during the regular season, and they just can muscle the Knicks around, and I believe that they're in their heads right now. But no matter how the scenarios play out, we all know that the Heat are going to go to the NBA Finals from the East. Out west is a different story because right now the Thunder have the number 1 seed locked up out west. San Antonio is going to be 2, and there's still stuff to be determined between Denver, Memphis, and the Clippers as to who's going to be 3, 4, and 5. As of right now, Denver has the inside track of being the 3 seed. So it's really going to be between the Clippers and Memphis as to who's going to be 4, who's going to be 5, and who's going to get that home court in the first round. Those 2 teams played each other last year in the playoffs, and it was a great 7-game series. So it looks like they're going to face off again in the first round of the playoffs. But this time, it looks like the Clippers are going to get home court in their matchup this time around. And the 6th seed is also a battle between Houston and Golden State. Going into last night's game, Houston had the 6th seed and coming up with a clunker against the Suns, so that put the Warriors in the 6th seed, and also we're going to find out who is going to get that 8th and final seed between the Lakers and the Jazz. Because if you ask me personally, I think the best thing that would happen to the Lakers would be to not, I repeat, not make the playoffs. I'm 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 not sorry for saying that, Laker and Faker fans, because there are both of you out there. It would be the best for the Lakers not to make the playoffs, because for one thing, you got to get younger. And by some chance, if you don't make the playoffs, you'll get in the lottery. And we all know anything can happen in the lottery, especially with the fact that a lot of us know that it's rigged, for Christ's sakes. And then who knows? There could be a good possibility that you could end up with like a top 3 pick, a top pick. Who knows? You got to get some youth into that team somehow, especially with you don't know how long Kobe's injury is going to take, and because it's supposed to be 6 to 9 months. But with the fact that he's been playing, he's just finishing up his 17th season right now. So he just might want it because he has it in him to try and come back as quickly as possible. Or if I were them, I would just have him like take his sweet time in getting healthy. But like I said, the best scenario for the Lakers would be to not make the playoffs, because the fact that it would really, you got to say that the Laker experiment was a complete failure, because Nash was never 100% from the beginning of the season on. It took Howard almost a season to get back to playing shape with his back injury. Then you had the coaching change, which just turned into a complete disaster with D'Antoni coming in for Mike Brown, and which alienated Gasol, who was one of the best versatile big men in the game, and he had him in the doghouse, and then he ended up getting hurt, and so did Meta World Peace and Blake, and it just was one of those things that seemed like a good idea, but just didn't work out. So, like once again, I believe that the Lakers should not make the playoffs because why? If they do, they're most likely are going to get the 8th seed, and they're going to have to play the Thunder in the first round. And do you possibly see them winning a game against the Thunder in the first round? I don't think so. And so I would see the Jazz actually getting that 8th and final seed in the Western Conference playoffs. And the matchups would be the Jazz versus Thunder. I think that the Rockets are going to play the Spurs. The Warriors are going to play the Nuggets. That's going to be the best. That's going to be the best first round series of the entire playoffs, if you ask me, because both teams like to go up and down. They like to shoot it. They just play a fun style of basketball, and it's going to every game is going to. There's both teams are going to be over 100 points. So it'll feel like an old school '80s playoff kind of basketball game to watch. So that's the matchup I would like to see. And of course the Grizzlies and Clippers would play again in the first round of the playoffs, and I think that's going to be another down and out and drag them out kind of series. So and in the East, the Heat are going to be playing the Bucks. The Knicks are going to be playing the Celtics in the first round. And if I think the perfect scenario, that Indiana would play Chicago in the first round, and the Nets are going to play the Hawks. And when it is all said and done, it's going to be, I believe, it's going to be a repeat of the NBA Finals between the Heat and Thunder. And once again, the Heat are going to get the best of the Thunder in the playoff, in the championship, and LeBron's going to get 2 out of 7. There's just another 5 more to go before you can finally live up to that guarantee of yours that you made a few years ago, which is still ridiculous to this very day. And that's that's it for my little teaser of working my way back into doing my sports talk podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, I like to end it by saying if you have your questions, comments, or opinions, you know what to do. All you got to do is bring your A game, and I'm going to bring mine. I'll see you next time.